the fact that people are calling anything that deviates from the simplest narrative as a conspiracy theory is proof that we are not prepared for when maybe 1 out of the 100 is true, and it comes to bite us and it comes to get us.
All right. We got Randall Deeb in the house. What up, Randall? How is it going?
It is going.
It's going.
It's going, bro.
Yeah, Randall, you woke me up you didn't actually wake me up. You invited me to prayer at 6:30 in the morning today, and you weren't even there.
I was.
What's up with that?
I was there.
I'm calling you out right here live on the podcast.
I was late.
You weren't late. You were just late. You were 30 minutes late. I didn't want to go inside because I didn't know anyone.
I am allowed because I'm Lebanese. 30 minutes late is on time.
For Lebanon?
I'm on CO, what is it? CPT.
CPT.
You know what that is?
Sounds like a drug.
Well, it is, but it's not that kind of drug.
What is it?
Colored people time.
Colored people time.
You ain't heard of that?
You're whiter than me.
Oh, stop that. Stop that. What do you guys think? Who's whiter? I mean, he's got some blue on him.
Only YouTube can see you.
He's so white, he's got blue on him.
Yeah. Anyways, Lebanese time. Speaking of Lebanon, how was Lebanon? Randall is back from a trip that he took to Lebanon for 4 months.
Yes.
Yeah. So he just came back not even 2 weeks ago, and the first thing he did was ask me to take him to church, and I happily obliged.
Yeah, my car wasn't working, and he's the first guy that came to my mind.
Amen.
Thank you for taking me.
Yeah.
Because that was like the perfect ramp in back here to the life here.
Shout out to Lebanon.
Represent Lebanon.
I'm probably gonna overuse that button. Tell me about that. Tell me like what you got out of it. I know you talked to me a little bit about it. Maybe there's some other stuff that you wanted to talk about at large to not just me, but to the people listening.
Yeah, Lebanon is in pretty bad shape these days. It used to be the Paris of the Middle East. Some people called it the Swiss of the Middle East, or the jewel of the Middle East. Anyway, that was back in the 60s and 70s, and then the Civil War, and then destruction, and then a million things. And these days, it's been so corrupted from the government. It's hit crisis after crisis, economic, financial crisis, crisis on war, on employment crisis, like a million different things. And it's in really bad shape. So, so I went to... And obviously, like, to top it all off, the city of Beirut was subjected to a gigantic explosion. It was like one of the top 3 or 5 explosions in history.
That's probably the one that everyone saw on like social media and went crazy over. And it was like on TikTok and everything. Yeah, exactly. The firework factory or whatever it was.
No, it wasn't a firework factory.
What was it?
It was a gigantic store, like a storage. At the port of ammonium nitrate, which is extremely, obviously, explosive. Yeah. And it had been sitting there for almost 10 years, like 7, 8 years, something like that. And what was it doing there?
Just waiting for it to blow up.
And there's a whole story about
conspiracy theories.
Yeah, there's lots of theories.
Yeesh. Tell me about one of like what do they think it was?
Well, so like 8 years ago, a Russian ship stopped at the port temporarily, and it was just supposed to like fuel up and go or whatever, but then it ended up dropping off all this stuff. And at the same time, there's connections to, well, I shouldn't honestly, I shouldn't get into it.
Why?
Because this is the craziest part about Lebanon. So I went to Lebanon, so I do video stuff. Yeah. And I was like filming. I probably even shouldn't say this.
Say it.
Okay. No, you'll see. Okay, literally like, so I got my video stuff and I was going to document. I went over there
this guy, Fed's watching.
I went over there to help with the disaster relief work, obviously. I was there for 4 months. And at the same time I was documenting. And I was talking to people and asking them the same questions. Yeah. And I was trying to sit down and interview them. And bro, like when you're talking one-on-one, like they'll open up, they'll talk about those theories, and they'll be honest, and they have some evidence, compelling evidence about some shady stuff going on. Yeah. But then when you're like, dude, this is so critical. We need to expose this. Like, we need to talk about this. Can I please interview you? They clam up. It's like, no. You know why? Because the government, if they find out that you've been talking, they will literally off you and your family. Like,
off you.
It's not a joke.
Define off you.
What do you think it means?
I think it means they're gonna get you.
Yeah, they're gonna kill you.
Yeah,
literally. There's a video I'll show you of this this journalist guy, or he may have been just a normal citizen, but he took a photo.
Yeah.
Of something that happened when the explosion, right before the explosion happened, that sort of reveals what the source of the explosion was, which is one of the theories. And literally, there's a video of the Lebanese government, like police, like catching up to him as he's getting in his car with his kid in the back seat, and they pull him. They don't even pull him out. They pull out their gun and they just shoot him straight. Hold up. They shoot him straight in the driver's seat, just point blank,
bro,
in front of his kid.
Yeesh, that's crazy. That's actually like insane.
Yeah, just because he had a photo.
So there's obviously something going on there.
Yes,
that's they're trying to not.
They're trying to cover. Yeah, and that's the thing people don't like. This is a whole can of worms. But I'm just gonna throw a little thing in there, like zing. People who automatically use the term conspiracy theory, to like automatically discount something, have clearly never studied history or other countries or just politics.
What do you mean though?
Because history is literally just one conspiracy theory after another. It's not really. What I mean is the stuff of history is the kind of stuff that makes up a conspiracy theory, which is to say that there are constantly greater forces in the background that are at play in any given event that people don't realize and people are not willing to consider. And I'm not you know me, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. But the fact that people are calling anything that deviates from the simplest narrative as a conspiracy theory is proof that we are not prepared for when maybe 1 out of the 100 is true and it comes to bite us and it comes to get us. Like, so living in Lebanon really opens your eyes to how many things are actually being controlled by powers.
Yeah, dude, that's insane. I feel like with conspiracy theories, even the simplest narrative, people want to spin it and be like, no, something else is happening behind the scenes. Something else is going on. Which
there's pitfalls on both sides, obviously. Like, people can automatically jump to stuff, but people can also like be so averse to the idea of it that anytime anyone says anything that's not been reported by like mass media, they just want to like write it off.
Right. I feel like just like you talking about history and stuff, it's like we grew up learning all these things and then we find out later that it's not entirely true. Like the first thing that comes to mind. I'm not like a history major or anything. I haven't been in school in a while, but it's like, remember growing up and like learning about like pilgrims and like Native Americans and like, oh, they were all happy and, you know, they had a dinner, which.
Yeah. The Thanksgiving story, basically.
The Thanksgiving story. And then it's like, it turns out it was like a big old massacre, right?
There was a massacre. That was earlier, not when the pilgrims came. They came after when it was.
They don't teach us that part.
Right.
In elementary school.
Yeah, you're right. Like, you're right about the like Christopher Columbus and all that. Yeah, there was a huge massacre.
Right.
But half of it was disease based because they were bringing in anyway, it's the whole thing. I'm not an expert, but the Pilgrim story, that one actually has some water because they came in peacefully and like the natives welcomed them and the hospitality but not that there weren't problems later, but I'm just saying, some of it's true.
Talk about like the purpose for why you went to Lebanon in the first place.
Yeah. So when that explosion hit, and look, I'm Lebanese, obviously, if that wasn't obvious. I was born there. I grew up most of my life here, and so I've never had like a deep emotional attachment, like an immediate on the surface emotional attachment to Lebanon necessarily. I've always been like, you know, proud of my heritage, but I've never like emotionally, viscerally felt it. Yeah. And then when the explosion happened, some sort of like dam burst in me. Like it just broke. And I really like grieved for like a week, and it hit me hard, and something changed in me, and I was like, what on earth am I doing here?
Yeah.
In my little home, in America, like all comfortable and all my stuff around me, and we're all sheltering from home, we're all quarantined or whatever, and I'm just like stuck here, and like my brothers and sisters in my motherland are like in the throes of misery and suffering, and it was such a like a dissonance that I needed to harmonize, needed to heal or resolve, I mean. And so I sought the Lord in prayer, and I was like, Lord, here I am, send me, And I felt like the Lord was like, if you want to go, you can go, and I'll be with you.
Yeah.
And so, but he told me, like, if you go, it's going to break you down, but then I'll remake you. So anyway, so I decided to drop everything I was doing and to go. And so I went in order to really just immerse myself in the what was going on, in the suffering and the misery, and feel their pain. And so I went and I helped with several organizations with disaster relief work. Half of it was, physical manual labor, rebuilding stuff.
Yeah.
Half of it was visiting families and hearing their stories and giving them what they needed. Mm-hmm. And so that was.
Did you have anyone out there that, like, family or friends that we were able to link up with, or anyone that you knew, or were you just kind of out there by yourself?
I was kind of both. I went out there kind of by myself. Mm-hmm. I was actually hoping to find like a ministry partner, like a brother to kind of walk with me.
Yeah.
But I didn't. So it was just by myself, and then I basically just looked into some organization. I asked a family member, my cousin, what are some good organizations. She looked me up and reached out to them, and that's how I got connected.
Yeah.
And then but then on the side of yes, is that there was so my uncle has a church there, and he's an incredible man of God. He's literally like my role model. He's like a modern day Apostle Paul, sacrifices himself for the ministry and for other people.
Shout out to Randall's uncle.
Pastor Michel. I don't know if I should say his name. Anyway, so he had some ministry stuff going on, and I just went right into that and helped them out.
Okay, so you were able to like link up with him.
Yes, so he was the main kind of family contact, like close, trusted link. Yeah.
So you at least had like at least one person that you were familiar with. Dope. Cool. Kind of. That is an awesome story. I'm really inspired that you're able to do that and go to your homeland and help in a physical way. But I just feel like even the stories you're telling me, you're able to help in a spiritual way. Yeah. Even just by your presence being there and praying for the people, whether out loud or just to yourself. That's dope. So obviously you're praying. You talk about your faith, and you're someone that I look up to. Someone who I believe. Sometimes I'm in a room and I'm in a Bible study or something. Probably shouldn't be thinking these thoughts, but I'm like. And it's usually when someone like is talking like theological and like all this other stuff, and I'm like, man, this literally happened on Tuesday night. I was like, man, if Randall was here, he'd flex on all these fools. But you probably wouldn't. But you totally could.
That's great.
And so you're someone that I look up to spiritually, and I know you have a lot of knowledge when it comes to the Bible and theology and all that good stuff. And kind of just want to backtrack and talk about like how we met and,
Wait, what did they call? What did they used to call me at the office? Dennis and them.
What did they call you? I used to call you the Lebanese lover.
Oh yeah.
What did Dennis used to call you?
The theologian of love.
The theologian. Why is it always
with
love?
An accent? The theologian of love.
Theologian of love.
I always liked that. That was fun.
You can say it in a radio voice with the podcast mic.
Theologian of love.
What if Randall had his own show? Welcome back to the Theologian of Love
with the Lebanese lover.
Anyways, your nickname for me was the Lebanese lover.
Your nickname for me was Saint Nicholas.
Saint Nicholas, dude. You wanted me to do a whole report. I started looking it up, and I just never did it.
Yeah, I was trying to challenge him to look up Saint Nick, and basically carry his namesake. But that didn't happen. What I do want to make happen though, I want all your YouTube followers to start calling you Saint Nick. That's gonna be your thing. You're gonna hate it, but then you're gonna love it.
You guys don't need to do that, but thank you. Talk about the funniest, like just start thinking funniest work story that we've had together. Me and Randall used to work together in the same office. Now neither of us work there right now. But talk about like the craziest or funniest, most entertaining thing that you think that people would like to hear.
I feel like you need to answer this question, not me. Because
Randall, there's too many. That's why I want to know yours.
That's why I don't want to answer it, because I did not come prepared, so I have no idea. There's too many. You were the documenter. You and Taylor would like film everything.
I can tell the story, but I don't know if I'm gonna embarrass you a little bit now.
That's fine. I don't care. Don't you literally have like a video album on your phone dedicated to like
me and Taylor do.
So
I'll tell this story because it's the most recent that I thought of, and I actually wasn't even there to see it or witness it in person, but we got a video of it. So one, and I lost my mind. Our homie Taylor, he sent me this video. I think it was to me and Dennis, of a guy, and it would happen to be Randall, using our sink to basically. Oh my gosh! No,
why did you have to go to that one?
See, I knew you wouldn't like it.
Literally,
using our sink. Pull up the clip right now.
No, stop. Actually, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Jeez, trying to find a wife out here. But just using the sink and these are just some of the antics that Randall got into, using the sink to base. Were you showering? What were you doing?
I don't remember. I think I was just
Your shirt was off.
Yeah, I was using the kitchen sink at work. This is literally this might incriminate me.
You're not working there
anymore. I know I'm not working there anymore, but they're never going to work with me again on anything.
They have their own shower. We have a sink. Is what?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I don't know, man. Look, whatever. I'll talk about it.
You did it. You have to own up to it.
All I remember, I don't even remember. I just remember for whatever reason, I needed to use. I don't remember. I don't remember.
You just wanted to take your shirt off and.
I needed to like rinse off or something.
Oh god.
Oh no, I remember now. I think I spilled something on my shirt, and I had something. I think that's what it was. I had like some important thing like later that day, and it always happens when I wear a white shirt. Like
yeah,
and
you gotta be careful when we're wearing white shirts.
Yeah, so I think that's what it was. So then I was using the sink and the dish soap to get it out, to get the stain out. It worked. I mean, I've gotten so good at it because it happens all the time. But but that's why I was shirtless, and then I had to borrow a shirt for a while until it dried. Yeah, something like that. Or I don't remember.
Sorry for exposing.
No, I don't care. It's fun.
Yeah. You don't have one, like a favorite moment that involved you?
I'm sure I do.
Where you were like the center of attention.
No, stop. Why is it?
Randall was always the center of attention.
No.
Whenever he came out to work.
There's too many, like you said. Like you have to pull up a random clip.
I'll look up one. I'll try to I'll splice it on the YouTube. So if you're listening on the podcast, make sure you tune into the YouTube channel.
Okay.
I'll throw something up there.
But I will say this. Nick acts like he's like a background character, which is as far from the truth as you can get. He literally Nick is super chill. He's like the chillest dude. But then
thank you.
But then literally he'll go from 0 to 100. And I don't mean he'll go from 0 to 100 like a line. He'll literally go from 0 to 100 instantly.
It's facts.
But it's completely dependent on wrestling memes.
That's not exactly true.
It's completely true. You just blow up with like a wrestling character persona. You'll just literally, he'd be like just chilling, just walking, like just like gliding, barely like even, and then all of a sudden he'll just be like, I don't even. What do you even say? Like, what are they?
I don't know. How's it going today, brother?
Yeah, like just like, where do you get this stuff? You just literally the antics.
I grew up on this stuff, dude. Like literally, grew up on watching terrible wrestling stuff that I shouldn't have been watching at a young age. But it grew and shaped me to the person that I am today. It's not shaped, but it kind of like I still have the attributes from the culture of wrestling and. you know, the things that they said on the microphone and the way they acted and the energy that they gave off.
But here's the weird thing is it didn't bleed in. Or sorry, I should say it didn't form your entire personality. What it did was it's like it provided an outlet.
Kind of.
It's like it provided an outlet for you to just express your goofy side whenever you felt like it, and
Right.
it kind of.
I grew up on it, and then like junior high school hit, and it wasn't cool to like watch wrestling or listen to anything, and I kind of figured out like when you're young, you think it's like it's all real, like everything is real, the storylines are real, and all this other nonsense, and like people die and come back to life, and then you find out it's not real, and you're like, I've been lied to my whole childhood.
How did you get past that?
But I got back into it when my family wanted to go to WrestleMania. So I'm like, I want to at least know the storylines and all this stuff that's going on. So I got back into it that way.
Yeah.
And then actually Dennis was someone who grew up on the same kind of thing. And he grew up watching all those people. We're going to get Dennis on the podcast.
Yes.
He grew up watching like the same things. And we were able to bond over that and like hype each other up. Like, oh, did you hear so-and-so is going to have a match with so-and-so? And like, all this other stuff. So that's how I got back into it. And then I was like, and you buy in and you understand, even though all this is scripted, it's still pretty dope and it's still entertaining. And you just go all in.
No.
Yes.
It's not.
Yes.
I literally, so when you showed me like when you started playing that stuff in the office, yeah. I'd never grew up with it. It was never.
You kind of liked it though.
No, not even in the slight. Like literally, do you not remember how much I hated it?
I remember you kind of liked it.
No.
I remember you would shake your head on it, but I saw the way it would make you smile.
I'll tell you what I liked. I liked the effect it had on you.
Really?
Yes. Because it broke this it like I don't know, it just brought you into a like I said, like into a goofy like persona at times, and it was great. That was the best thing.
Did you know when I asked Janelle's dad for his blessing?
Yes.
And her stepmom, it was at a wrestling match.
Oh no.
I literally invited them to a wrestling match, and then Janelle went to the bathroom, and then I'd asked him, and he obviously said yes. But I just think that's, looking back on him, like I really did that. Like I really asked for my father-in-law's blessing.
Did the mantle of John Cena descend upon you?
I don't know. We were at a PCW match. It was crazy. And
why there?
I don't know. I don't know why. We invited them and they came. I was like, might as well do it now.
Well, I guess
it worked. It was crazy though, because there was like this crazy dude that was like yelling like right behind them, and he's like, we call him War Beast Man, and he goes crazy for this tag team group. But
who's the guy that plays guitar that you said I'm like
Elias Sampson, dude. That's so you.
He says I'm Elias Sampson.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing the watching the wrestling stuff, and I'm like, how is that? This is the cringiest cringe that could possibly exist. Like if you wanted to create the cringiest thing in the history of the world,
that's what I'm saying. That you have to buy in, or else it's whack.
It's just whack.
It's not just whack. There are millions upon millions of people.
That's true.
That watch this, and it's $1 billion industry, and there's so many different.
Well, that just proved
leagues, you could call them.
That just proves how dangerous democracy is, because that's how bad the masses can be deceived.
What are you trying to say? You're not in favor of democracy? Crickets. Was the election rigged?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
You heard it here first.
I don't really care whether the election was rigged or not, but it doesn't.
Randall Deeb.
But yeah, democracy is not everything.
It's the only.
What?
I don't know. I just felt like
actually, that's a funny point about democracy, because Lebanon is supposed to be a democracy. After the Civil War, they said that they were going to be a democracy, but it's
what are they though? If
you look on Wikipedia, it says it's a democratic republic, but it's the
they vote
opposite. Supposedly, but no, not really. Like it's literally a mafia-run state. They circulate their positions within their family, like lineage, basically, and they
keep it in the family.
Yeah, and they just like switch things around, like the ministries, and it's like basically a fiefdom that they've set up where they just. Anyway, so that
they say it's a democracy, but not really.
Right now, here's that's what's interesting is that
Kind of like America.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is America's not there yet. So people complain about America, and I get it, but but like compared to places like Lebanon and other places, man, we have it so good here. Number one, now, but on the other side, at the same time, I can see how when I went to Lebanon, I saw how things got to where they got to, and I saw firsthand the effects. I was like, oh, this is why people go crazy when things in America start to go this way or that way, and they get scared and they're like, we're losing our democracy.
Like with just the masks?
It's kind of true. Well, I don't know about not necessarily the masks, but I'm just saying with certain things, like it's kind of true. Like you do have to be very, very careful to preserve, and if you want to preserve democracy, you do have to be on it. You can't, like, things go south very quickly, which is what's happened in a lot of countries.
So do you think that the masks are a start of that? Do you think they could be, or some, like this whole COVID thing, do you think that could be like the start of?
If we're going to do that, if we're going to open that, let's open it. I don't think, I think on principle, not necessarily.
Okay.
On principle, meaning I don't think it's wrong for a government to, in a time of crisis, to increase certain restrictions for the sake of the public safety. Right. There is a principled justification for that taking place. I mean, if you want to look scripturally, okay, when the world was in famine and Joseph was in charge of Egypt, he had to restrict the supply of bread, and he had to ration it, and he had to and it caused the whole world to bottleneck to Egypt as the only source of, and it was just a very controlled operation. But that is in the ideal situation where the leader, the governor, is a just, wise man. So I understand that very provision of temporary restriction for public safety can more easily than anything else almost be corrupted and used and exploited for control and for manipulation by unjust, unwise, evil leaders. So whether that's taking place or not, that's the real question. So that's what I'm just saying. But on principle, I don't think
speculative.
It's
wrong. I think it is.
Yeah.
I think there's some conspiracies behind COVID-19.
Yeah, I actually don't disagree entirely. It's way, honestly, I look around. This happens to me like once or twice a week where I'll just suddenly I'll be like maybe cycling through some news stuff or whatever, and I'll just suddenly like stop and be like, has the world lost its mind? This
crap doesn't make sense. We're going through drive-thrus, giving people tubs of food that we just touched with our hands. I know.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Like nothing makes sense.
No, it's stupid.
It literally feels like the world has lost its mind.
Yeah.
And this was amplified when I was in Lebanon.
Yeah.
Because in Lebanon, it's very clear that the government is using COVID to exercise control, to increase their control. And they don't care about the public health. Bruh. They're literally using it. The lockdowns and all of this kind of stuff that they're doing is literally to flex their control muscles to see what they can get away with. And that's how it felt when it first happened in America too.
Yeah.
So on principle, there should be provision for that kind of, like, I don't agree with people saying like, you know, our freedoms should never be infringed. We should always be able to do whatever we want. I do think there's a time and a place if there's good leadership, but in this situation, there's very little evidence that the crisis that gave rise to this control is justified.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. It feels like the world has lost its mind.
I think it has
completely lost its mind. And when people are like literally operating out of that, anyway, I got COVID twice. Yeah. By the way. Yeah. It's bad. Why are we calling it COVID-19 still?
We're in 2021.
Isn't it COVID? Like, there've been a couple of mutations.
Yeah.
Why aren't we calling them COVID-20, COVID-21?
Well, we're in COVID-21, but just because it started in COVID-19.
Right.
It started in 2019.
I know. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly why it's called that. But now that it's,
there's been different variations of the virus.
It's evolving
before our eyes.
It's evolving faster than the human race evolved, according to Darwinians.
Evolution isn't real.
No, it's not. It's literally not. Anyway,
to some degree.
Oh, you mean like what degree?
I don't know. I feel like we looked a little different when we first started out.
Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, microevolution.
But
Like
we didn't
adaptation.
come from monkeys. I don't believe that.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, that the indoctrination on that is so real. I used to be a what do they call it? An evolutionary creationist?
Archaeologist?
No. I used to like almost buy into. I used to be totally open to that, but then realized it's absolutely incompatible, diametrically opposed to.
Would you say it's
scripture.
BS?
Yeah, and the evidence for it is actually really bad if you actually look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, back to COVID. I had it twice.
Yeah,
it's bad. I'm not downplaying that.
Yeah, I feel like when I say like there's something else behind this, people like tend to think about like, no, dude, it's a real virus. Like I had people die from this, and I'm sure you did, and that sucks.
I did
terrible.
too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's terrible, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like I feel like the restrictions and like the restrictions though of like closing everything down is doing more harm than good to everyone as a whole. And it's like, it sucks that people died, but it's like, I don't think we should shut down everything.
Yeah, it's terrible, but it's like anything. There's a million things that cause deaths every year, including diseases that cause cumulatively as many as COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it literally doesn't make any sense. This reaction just exposes to me, it exposes the spirit of fear.
Yes.
That's all it is. It's literally a mechanism of fear.
You saw it when everything started and everyone started buying up toilet paper, all the toilet paper.
Right.
I don't know why. And all the food and all the water and everything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess the idea was if you're going to be hunkered down at home forever, you don't want to run out of toilet paper, right?
Right. But I mean, people were talking about like buying, like you saw the gun stores, people were lining up outside of them.
Well, that one's understandable because of the tension in our country. Like civil war could break out any second. You know what I'm saying?
So people were saying there's going to be a civil war when Trump either won.
Yeah.
It was more so if Trump won, there would be civil war.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
what do you think?
About what?
Yeah.
What do I think about what?
Yeah. All of it.
I think that it's time to open up the country, and I feel like it should have been opened up a long time ago once we got the statistics and realized that it's, from what I hear, it's hard to believe anything that the media says, but from what I hear and what I see, it's like over a 99% survival rate. And it's really only dangerous for those people that are high risk.
Well, even high risk, I know tons of high risk people. Literally, I know like a handful of high risk people that got COVID and recovered. And then I know people who are not high risk, they got COVID and they were intubated and almost died.
Yeah.
And I know people who died.
Yeah.
Who were actually not high risk and they were intubated and died. So literally like the logic behind, I mean, I get it. It's all about
it's trying to prevent those deaths.
Percentages. Yeah. It's all about like minimizing, risk. I get it. I'm not against precautions, but when you have completely defaced an entire culture, literally, like we've become a masked culture. Like we have, and there's what people don't realize. Okay. So you've read C.S. Lewis's Screw Tape Letters, right?
Yeah.
You were literally just talking to me about like how we need a modern day
screw tape.
There really should be because what's happening, talk about conspiracy theories. What's happening is so clearly theological. It's not just a matter of practical like measures that are taking place. It's so clear that there's some sort of diabolical theological thing going on because number one, the effect. Look at the effects. Look at the fruit of what's happening. Number one, we're all masked.
Yep.
We're all muffled. We're all covered. We're veiled.
Yep.
The Bible talks about how we have been in Christ. We have been freed from the veil of the law and of the old order of things, the elementary principles of the first creation. Now that we're in the new creation in Christ, we have been unveiled. We're being veiled. Number one. Number two, we're being isolated.
Yes.
Which is the devil's like primary tool.
Sin grows in isolation.
What's that?
Sin grows in isolation.
You said that really fast.
Sin grows in isolation.
Exactly.
And darkness.
I thought you said something else. I'll tell you after the podcast.
Just say it.
That's why I was like, what do I say?
Sin grows in isolation.
Yeah, what does it sound like? Was that just me?
Sin grows in isolation. I don't know.
Okay.
Leave in the comments section what you think I said.
Okay, should I say what I thought you said?
Maybe not.
Okay, all right. Anyway, so well, I'll say it and then you can bleep it out.
Go ahead.
Or cut it out. No?
I don't care.
I thought you said seeing girls in isolation.
That would be totally off topic.
No, I know. That's why I stopped. I didn't know what to do. Look, go back and listen to it. Tell me if it doesn't sound like that.
All right, I will.
Anyway, if it's just me, I repent. But if please back me up, some commenters. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So isolation. What was Satan's opportune moment with Christ, the Son of God,
in the wilderness, isolated by himself. Mm-hmm.
And he was being what's the word? He was abstaining from physical comforts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In our case, we're abstain. We've been forced into an abstinence of relational and emotional attachments and comforts to some degree. Some of us, at least. Some of us have families and we're good, but not all of us. I live alone, and it really took, So he's isolating us, and at the same time he's shutting down the churches and shutting down,
We still can't. We're still not supposed to be singing.
Right, exactly. So he's literally like, which is the weapon of our warfare,
trying to take away our worship.
Yeah, which is like literally the thing that that demons tremble under is the worship of God's people, because that's when God descends enthroned upon the praises of his people. So literally everything is I know this sounds like reading into it, but when you really look at the history of, again, history, when you look at the history of how the church has been, or how Satan has attacked God's people, it's a pattern.
Yeah.
And then, but the cool thing is on the other side that it's obvious that God is also doing something. God is shaking things up. Like, I do believe this whole thing was also from God, like as a discipline.
Yeah.
And he's like it says in Hebrews, he's once more I will shake not only the earth, but the heavens and the earth.
That's good. That's good. I think that's a good place to end it right there, Randy.
Sure.
Yeah.
We went all over the place.
We kind of did. Randall Deeb in his house. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're on YouTube, make sure you click that subscribe button, like, comment, share the podcast with a friend if you're into that sort of thing. And we'll see you on the next one. Appreciate you, Randy.
Thanks, man.
I think I'm going to make a COVID fist bump a thing until we're out of COVID. Later, fellas.